So as you know, during this meeting, if you have any questions, you're welcome to pose your question by speaking your question or writing it in the chat box. So if you could welcome your experience as it is. Hello, Rashmi. Meaning simply rest as being. No need to do anything. Simply relax as being, inviting, allowing whatever is arising to arise as it is arising, as it wishes to. Scan your body gently, sweetly, lovingly. Invite every sensation in your body to its complete expression. To a sensation of your face, your head, without knowing it. The sensation of your chest, your belly. Sort of an invitation, inviting your body to its full expression, to express itself freely in your welcoming space, loving space. Sort of a yesness to the sensations, whichever way they arise. No need to label anything. No need to remember. No need to categorize. Just sinking deeper and deeper into not knowing, into being not knowing. Sensing the vibration within the body. Turning your attention to the breath. Gentle movement of breath, what we call breath. Not knowing what it is. No need to know. Sort of a fresh discovery, moment by moment. In innocence. That is free from past memories, free from the past, and an effortless way of being, a non-judgmental way of being, noticing, a simple noticing. In noticing, there is no judgment, there is no evaluation, it's just the spaciousness of noticing. There is no separate one noticing anything, it's just noticing. I and noticing are not two. I being, noticing, awareing, breathing, not knowing. Amidst breathing, sensing, unfolding effortlessly. A thought may arise, an image, a memory. It arises in the spaciousness of awareness, intimately. The thought in the awareness as one, awareness dancing, vibrating as a thought, borderless, holding on to nothing. It's transparent. I am this transparency. I, awareness, I, this aware presence that has no gender, no name, no age, that has no borders, has no owner, no beginning, no ending. I recognize myself as that aware presence. I welcome this recognition. I recognize this recognition. I does not refer to any object that I perceive. I perceive a sensation, I perceive a thought, I perceive an image. While remaining as that transparent, aware presence. I never experience anything outside of myself. There is an intimacy to my experience, which is love. Love is the reality of my experience. The intimacy of non-duality, like the sunlight and the heat of the sun are not two. Like the surface ripples of the lake and the lake itself are not two. Similarly, whatever appears to me and I, this aware presence, the ocean of being, are not two. I may imagine another, I may imagine an external world, I may feel that there is an external reality. But in spite of how strongly I feel that there is an external reality, or how strongly I imagine that there is an external reality, there is no evidence of any external reality outside of my feelings and my imagining, my believing. And feeling and imagining are not outside of myself. They're intimately known. I am not defined by the thoughts that I perceive. I am not defined by the process of thinking, nor am I defined by the process of feeling and sensing. Before the concept arises, I am. So I turn my attention to I am, not I am somebody, not I am a man, a woman, a person, a father, a mother, a son, a daughter. I just turn my attention to I am. I, that very awareness, awares itself, knows itself as amness, beingness, awareness. I am, and I know I am. I am is indisputable, and I know I am. I am knowing is indisputable. In this amness and knowingness, there is no separation. There is no personal amness or personal knowingness. It's just amness, knowingness. That has no limitation. What is known may appear conceptually as being limited, but the knowingness that knows is beyond limitation or non-limitation. So the spiritual contemplation, one could say, is about knowing one's true self. It's not discovering a new discovery. It is a recognition that can deepen and deepen, that establishes itself as your living experience, as your lived reality, as your lived truth, as you journey along the path of inquiry and contemplation. Well, if there are any questions. Rashmi, you're right. How is it possible to experience pure consciousness when there are always perceptions present? If no thoughts or external perceptions, bodily sensations are always there. How is it possible to experience pure consciousness when there are always perceptions, sensations, and thoughts? Rashmi, ask yourself, what is it that perceives? So yes, let's say there is a thought or a perception. Ask yourself, what is it that perceives? When you ask yourself, what is it that perceives, you will come to I perceive, I perceive. We all can agree on that. Now, usually in ignorance and in confusion, in error, we say I, Rashmi, I, Magdi, I, Joe, I, Jimmy, I, Billy, perceive. We believe and feel that it's the body or the brain that perceives. Erroneously, we believe, we feel and we believe that it is the instrument that perceives. So I invite you to contemplate that which perceives is not the instrument. The perceiver in chief, let's say, is consciousness. Awareness. So your question about how is it possible to experience perception and simultaneously awareness or consciousness can be understood when you contemplate that consciousness is always there, always present, and is the reality of your experience. The perceptions, they come and go. The oak tree that you perceive today, in 1,000 years, it's gone. Reality does not disappear after 1,000 years, but the oak tree does. The reality of your experience is not the oak tree. It's not the object of perception. It's not the thought. It's not the sensation. The reality of your experience is that which is always there. Awareness, consciousness. Erroneously, we believe that consciousness depends on the body. That's a belief. When you look closely at that, that requires a close scrutiny. You come to the realization that that is not so. Consciousness does not depend on the brain or on the mind or on the body. It is not a result of any object. It's not produced by an organ. It's not produced by blood flow in the body or by the electrical field within the brain. The reality of your experience is consciousness. That which perceives the tree, that which perceives a perception or a sensation or a thought is consciousness. I refers to consciousness. Now the object that you perceive, when you get closer and closer to the object, you find that there is only consciousness. That in fact, there is no object out there. There is only sensation, perception, mentation. And that the nature of perception, sensation, and mentation is consciousness. They're not two. If there were two, they would never meet. They're one. But given consciousness is the reality of your experience, and there is only one reality, then the reality of everything that you perceive is consciousness. The reality of every perception, sensation, and mentation is consciousness. I, consciousness, aware presence, I, awareness, is the reality of your experience. But since you perceive a tree, then it is that reality, the reality of consciousness, that sort of trees. It manifests as tree, or a thought, or as a sensation, or as a mentation, without ever leaving itself and actually becoming a separate reality that we refer to as a tree. It never leaves itself to become something else. Like in your night dreams, although you dream that you are a butterfly, you actually do not leave yourself and become a butterfly. You remain as you are, the dreamer. The other thing I want to bring to your attention, Rashmi, is that consciousness is not an experience. It is the reality of all experiences. It's not a something that you experience. It's what you are, what I is, what I refers to. So you quote unquote experience consciousness by being consciousness, a recognition of what you truly are. You never are, in fact, anything else but what you truly are, but consciousness. You've never been, in spite of your feelings and your beliefs otherwise, you've never been anything else but that. Rashmi, you're right. So are we actually experiencing pure consciousness all the time? We just don't know it. Yeah, you could say that, but it's not an objective experience. It is a noumenal experience. It's not like we're always experiencing the oak tree and we call it consciousness. Consciousness is not a phenomenal experience. It is that which perceives, that which experiences. And yes, you are that. And I would say that, yes, you don't know it, meaning the mind, you are fascinated by the mind, which says you are Rashmi and you're a great mother, you're a great sister, you're a great daughter, blah, blah. We're fascinated by the mind and its content and its stories. And unfortunately, it's misleading definition of what you are. It defines you, the mind defines you, meaning thinking defines you as body mind, as flesh and bones, as somebody, as a body mind, as a Rashmi. And because of your fascination with the content of thinking, you overlook the reality of your experience, which we are inviting each other during the satsang to recognize. We're inviting consciousness to recognize itself and to allow the mind to be what it is, which is God's dream, your dream, but your dream does not define you. You follow, Rashmi? Okay. Keep returning your contemplation to what you truly mean by I. By I, do you mean something that you perceive? By I, do you mean the body? Do you mean the mind which you perceive? You perceive thoughts, you perceive emotions, you perceive memories. What do you mean by I? Do you mean by I that which perceives or that which is perceived? Any questions?
Hi, Magdi. This is George.
Hello, George.
Hi there. I have a question about questions.
Okay.
It seems that I can ask you a question, as Rashmi just did, or whatever, and you can answer that question. I can understand your answer. Okay, I've asked a question, you've answered it. But it seems that there's no, I don't want to use the word progress, but it doesn't seem like that there's no progress. That understanding doesn't seem to buy me anything. In other words, in terms of realizing the truth of awakening, it doesn't seem to be getting me there. It seems it's like more understanding is just more understanding. I don't know if you can comment on that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. From the perspective of the mind, from the perspective of thinking, understanding consists of some goodies that the mind can evaluate, can store, can display, can recollect, can be proud of, can market, etc. What's important to understand is that understanding, when you go, I get it, or you hear an answer and the answer somehow, something is clicking, and you're not sure what, but there is a clicking. It's sort of, you're finding that, yes, there is less and less argument within your mind about what you're hearing. It's important to understand that there is no mind during understanding. There is mind that precedes understanding, that brings you. There is a language that brings you to the edge of understanding. At some point you go, yeah, I get it. And when you say, yes, I get it, at that moment, there is no time. And there is nothing that the mind can actually say about understanding, but after understanding, as a consequence of understanding, the mind is affected. Actually, it's deeply affected. And there is sometimes an immediate effect onto the mind where there is a peace, tranquility. Sometimes there is a next question that arises because there may be this understanding may trigger another question that now requires understanding. So you may find that there are 2, 3, 4 questions sort of succeeding each other in a way, because the first understanding sort of triggered a need for another understanding. Or the mind can arise with an objection. You can say, well, wait a minute, yes, but. In general, when the mind says yes, but, it's feeling threatened. I'm just saying that generally, we need to look at it a little closer as it's happening. It's feeling threatened because somehow it was not there and it wants to be there. So it will make a statement that, hey, yeah, okay, yes, all of that is cool. I'm hearing all these things, I'm understanding, but nothing is happening.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that was your question, actually. That was your question. Nothing is happening. Understanding is the biggest happening. It's a happening that's a non-happening. It's actually a non-happening, but from the mind's perspective, it's a happening. So whichever way you take it, it's not so important. Just, I'd like you to understand that understanding is not nothing.
Okay.
Movement of the mind is nothing, because thoughts are a dime a dozen. But understanding, it's not every minute that we understand, but every minute there is a thought. Yeah, well, yeah, I get it, I don't get it, oh, that was great, that was good, oh, I like that sort of, you know, thoughts are a dime a dozen, but understanding is rarer, is more, it's occasional, it's not
Sporadic, maybe?
Yeah, it is a result of contemplation, reasoning, listening, also a result of a certain openness. When there is a question, usually there is an openness, except if it's a trick question. Let me see if he's going to answer it the way I want him to answer it. Then I'll give him the good points, or else I'm going to criticize him. Usually when there is a question, there is an openness, which is really great, because when there is an openness, there is a disponibility, this availability to look, to inquire, to contemplate. Okay, just coming back to your statement, your question, or your statement, George, I would not be so troubled by that.
I'm sorry, again, you didn't.
I would not be so troubled by that statement from the mind. Hey, well, you know, I'm getting it, but nothing is happening. You know, I would be actually wary of that, because the personal mind, the sense of separation is saying, well, what are the goodies? You know, give me goodies. I want goodies now. I want goodies now. I want goodies now. Which means it's saying that I don't have the goodies. Something is lacking. So assumed, in the assumption behind where is it, is that I don't have it.
Yes.
So there is an assumption in there. And the teaching is always pointing to, you are this aware presence. You are this aware presence. The mind says, well, when will I get it?
Yes.
When will I becoming? When will I become it? When will I be awakened? When will I be enlightened? When will I? So the mind is always playing the postponement game. And we can understand that and say, oh, wait a minute. When I tell myself, when will I get it? That means tomorrow. I will get it tomorrow. And you know what? Who has ever experienced tomorrow?
Right.
That makes you stop and pause. You say, wait a minute. Is this a trick thing that I'm doing, that the mind is doing? Is this a trick thing that, hey, you know, when will I get it? This is a trick thing, because our experience is always now. And we feel that there is something lacking now.
Yes.
When we feel there is something lacking now, the best time to look at this is now. So when we look at what is lacking now, what do we find? We find, well, I'm just going to say my version. We find thoughts and feelings. We actually don't find anything lacking. I mean, if you're hungry, you go, you make a sandwich and you eat a sandwich. I mean, I'm not talking on that level.
I understand, yes.
Yeah. So we find thoughts that are saying blah, 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 blah. We find feelings, blah, 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 blah. But thoughts and feelings that are saying, hey, something is lacking, you are the knower of these thoughts. They don't freaking know you. So how can they say, hey, George, you are lacking something? If you are the knower, how can that which is known, which you know anything about? It's a good question, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So we pause and we say, wait a minute. What is going on here? What is going on? What's going on here?
What seems to be going on, you say that who I am is awareness. Other non-duality teachers say, who I am is awareness. I am willing to believe
No.
that who I am,
No.
awareness. I know that belief is not worth anything. That's my point. I can't.
Right.
Yeah, right. So what I'm saying is what's missing here is the awareness of the awareness. In other words, I don't really get that who I am is awareness. I can understand that, it makes sense intellectually. What you say makes perfect sense, but I don't really get it. You listen to what I'm saying?
So when you say, I don't get that I am awareness, what is this I that doesn't get it?
Okay, good question.
I mean, these were your words.
No, those were my words. And what I must admit to, when I say that I still think that I'm a separate self. Even, I act and behave and spend my whole life as if I'm a separate self, even though I know that's not true.
Yeah. So when you ask,
that's not true because I've looked and I've contemplated and I know there's no separate self here. I've spent years looking. There's no separate self here. Can't be found.
So when you say, George, when you say, okay, I don't get it that I'm awareness. I hear you saying I means awareness. And I don't get it that I means awareness. You can ask yourself, what do I mean by I? What is this I that doesn't get it that I'm awareness? Just to ask yourself, to contemplate, your own thoughts. You see?
Yes, good. Yes, thank you. Yes.
It's in your hands, It's in your hands to ask yourself that question. What is this? I just told Megdi that I don't get it, that I am awareness. What is this? What is this I that doesn't get it? You see?
Yes, thank you. Yes. I get it. I mean, I get what you're saying now.
And also you can ask yourself, what is it that's aware of this very experience right now? What in this moment is aware?
What seems to be aware is like a personal awareness. It seems to me that the awareness is just a concept.
Okay.
Yes, of course there's awareness here. Otherwise I'd have no experience.
Okay. So let's say, George, let's agree that awareness is a concept. Let's agree. Okay. You said it seems it's a concept. Yeah. I'm just going to say, forget about it seems it's a concept. Let's say it is a concept, right? Yes. So can a concept be aware?
No, of course not. No, a concept can't be aware. I got it. Yes.
So when you say it seems to be a concept, there's something off in what you're.
Yes.
There's something off in saying it's a concept. Awareness is a concept because you are aware right now. There's awareness, right? There is, there is perception or something is aware of whatever it is that's being perceived. You see, so a concept cannot perceive.
There are perceptions, no doubt about that. Okay. Now there are perceptions. Okay.
There is awareness of perception.
Now I'm going to that. Okay. Now there is awareness of perceptions. Okay. But that awareness of perception seems to me abstract. It doesn't seem. Okay. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't be more precise about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Okay. All right. Okay, there is something that perceives or feels or senses that awareness is abstract.
I don't even know if that's true. In other words,
well, you just said awareness feels abstract or is abstract. Yes. So something, you're describing something that you're perceiving or feeling or thinking.
Yes.
So there is something that you're sharing with me that is you're experiencing. Let's say I'm using the word experiencing. That awareness is abstract.
Yes, I have those experiences. I'm sorry. Let's say again. Those experiences exist. I'm sharing with you experiences.
Yes.
Feelings.
So what is it that's experiencing that awareness is abstract?
That's the question I don't know. That is to say, I know there are experiences here, but you ask me, what is it that's experiencing?
Okay, good. Okay, let's stay with I don't know. That's beautiful. Whatever that is, whatever, you don't need to know, but whatever that is awareness.
Please say that once more. I think
you said you don't know, and that's fine. That's fine not to know. But whatever it is that knows that awareness is abstract, whatever, that is awareness.
Okay. All right.
And you don't need to know, meaning the mind cannot know awareness. The mind cannot know awareness.
Yes, I get it. I'm looking. Okay. Yes, I'm looking for the mind to know awareness. And what you're saying is that's futile. The mind will never know awareness. How can the mind know awareness? Okay, I get that. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the mind to know it. I'm looking for that level of understanding. You know? Yes. Okay. So the awareness. Okay. I'm beginning to get somewhere now. Now I can see that my searching for awareness is searching in the wrong place. Okay, I'm looking to.
You know, whenever you are searching for awareness, you are objectifying awareness.
Yes.
You are making awareness like an object.
Yes.
Some sort of experience, so you are looking for an object. Whatever it is that is looking is coming from the impression that there is an object out there. The bottom line of your experience, behind that which is looking, there is that which is. Behind that which is looking, there is that which is. And that which is knowing. It's not looking, it is knowing.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So as a model, let's say this is a model. The mind, meaning thinking, says, I am missing something. I heard teachers say that awareness is it. So let me go and find awareness. It is a concept, it is an experience, so it's going to objectify an object that it imagines is going to complement it.
Yes.
That entire process is a mind process.
Yes, I see that now. Yes.
There is within your experience, besides the mind process, besides thoughts, besides concepts, there is that which is, that which perceives, that which knows, that which hears these words right now. And you cannot know it. You cannot know awareness via the mind. You cannot, the mind will only project images. Yes?
Yes, I understand.
But an image does not perceive. That which perceives is not an image.
Yes, okay. I get that, yes.
Anyway, a lot of foods for thought over there. I will send you the recording because you may want to go over that again. Yes?
Yes, I'll definitely want to go over that again. Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, George. Rashmi You're right. Non-duality means there is only one reality. So the noumenal and phenomenal worlds are also in reality one, since it's all awareness. Yes, Rashmi, yes. One could say that all is consciousness. From you need to understand that, as you write, there is just one reality. And what we refer to as the phenomenal world, meaning perceptions, sensations, and mentations, they don't have their own separate reality. A good model is to look at the ocean and the waves. The waves on the surface of the ocean, they have many different shapes, many different size, but they are not separate from the ocean. The ocean takes on the form of waves. Water takes on the form of currents, whirlpools, but it's all water. So what we refer to as the phenomenal realm, meaning the experiences of mind experiences, such as thinking, feeling, and sensing, their essence is consciousness. They do not refer to any external reality. We experience external realities when we experience ourself as a separate self, when we experience ourself as a body-mind, as Magdi, as Rashmi. We have sort of personalized consciousness. When we personalize consciousness, we separate ourself, we separate consciousness into an inner reality and an external reality. But this separation is imagined. It's not what is. It is just a model that is a result of our thinking process. And unfortunately, this model is a very unhappy model, because when we separate ourselves, then we experience the sense of lack, and we experience the impression of mortality and fear, and all the negative emotions come hand in hand with this sense of separation. Any questions?
Yes, Carmel. Yes, Maggie.
Hello, Joe.
This is Joe. Yeah.
Hello, Joe.
When you say to me, "Do you understand, Joe?" Do you understand, Joe? Do you understand? To whom are you? To what are you speaking?
I'm speaking to the awareness that you are.
You're speaking to an awareness that I am. Okay.
Yeah.
Does the awareness that I am sometimes have and sometimes not have understanding? Is that a property of awareness that it
No.
can have understanding?
Understanding is what awareness is, not what awareness has.
So how can you say, do you understand? Speaking to
Do you understand?
as awareness, how can it possibly have or not have understanding?
It does not have or does not have understanding. When the question is, do you understand? The question refers, do you recognize yourself? In the moment of understanding, you recognize yourself, which
What
is
is myself?
the peace of being.
So can the piece of being not recognize itself?
No.
So why are you asking that question?
I'm asking that question because you.
What do you mean by
Yeah,
you?
it's coming. Hold on. There is a shadow. The sun is shining onto the surface of the lake, and the sun seems to be shining from the surface of the lake. But the sun is not shining from the surface of the lake. The sun is shining from the sun. It is reflected on the surface of the lake. Now, I understand your question about if all is reality, all is truth, all is self-knowing, then what are we talking about? What we are talking about is the illusion. There is an illusion that the sun is shining from the lake. I did not fabricate this illusion. It's just we recognize this illusion in our life. The way we recognize this illusion in our life is via unhappiness. There is within our life unhappiness.
What is it that's unhappy?
There isn't anybody in fact that is unhappy, and yet there is unhappiness. There is nobody in fact that is unhappy, but we should be careful not to deny unhappiness before unhappiness is no longer on board. You could say, because you're asking, that there is an unhappy dream, like you are dreaming that a lion is chasing you. And that
Okay,
in fact,
who are you referring to?
hold on, and in fact, there is no lion. Hold on, and in fact, there is no lion chasing you because you are in bed. There is no lion. There is no you. You are not running away from the lion. But even though we may agree that there is no body running away from the lion and that there is no lion, I would be lying to you if I tell you that I'm not having a nightmare.
Well, who are you lying to when
Myself.
you say I would be lying to you?
I'd be lying to myself. If I'm having a nightmare and I tell you, oh, no, it's all not real, but I'm having a nightmare and my heart is beating, boom, pounding, I would be lying to you and to myself.
What is the my that you're referring to? You say I would be.
There is only one true I, which is awareness. There are not two eyes. So you could say that awareness is lying to itself if you would like to, but it doesn't matter. In the end,
Who is that? Who is that you that you just mentioned?
there is only one you.
So, and I am awareness, and and it can be lying to itself. Awareness doesn't have any, in my understanding of what awareness is, what consciousness is, it doesn't have intentions, it doesn't have motivations, it doesn't make judgments, it doesn't speak.
Is that your experience? You are free of judgment?
Is it whose experience?
Whoever it is that is, whoever you want to be. Is that your experience? Whatever you want to be, you take a pick, choose whatever you want to be. Is that your experience, that you are free from judgment? And if it is, then our conversation is over.
You keep referring to, you keep saying, is that your experience? Do you have that experience, you say?
Do you?
To what are you speaking?
I'm speaking to whatever you choose yourself to be. Whatever you choose yourself to be.
And I am awareness.
Is it your experience?
So I am awareness, as you say, I am awareness, and awareness makes choices.
Choose whatever you want to be. Are you free from judgment? Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you at peace? Whatever do you want to be, pick whatever you can be, anything you want. Are you at peace? Whatever you want to be. Forget about what I'm saying. Just choose whatever you want to be. Are you happy? Are you at peace? Are you free of judgment? I am talking about freedom from judgment. I am talking about peace. I am talking about the end of the nightmare. Now, if the nightmare is real or not real, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the ending of the nightmare. What is the me? Whatever you want it to be. You want it to be the body? Be it the body. You want it to be consciousness? Be it consciousness. You want it to be the oak tree? Be it the oak tree. It doesn't matter. That is not the point. The point is whether the dream is, whether the nightmare is real or unreal, doesn't matter. But are you free from the nightmare?
Well, you keep telling me that I am awareness. And now you're asking awareness if it's free.
Yes, and what is your answer?
Awareness doesn't even answer.
So are you asking me a question?
So there's something else. There's something else.
Does awareness ask a question?
No, awareness doesn't ask a question.
Why are you asking a question? If you are awareness, why are you asking a question?
Because I am not awareness, but you keep telling me that I am awareness. But I don't believe that I am awareness.
Okay, forget about what I tell you. What are you?
Well, that's why I'm here. I don't know.
Okay. So you're interested in knowing what you are or not. You are here because you don't know, right?
There is interest. There is curiosity.
Not curiosity. I'm talking about interest. It's different from curiosity. This is not about curiosity. Curiosity is not about curiosity. It's much more than curiosity. It's a deep, profound interest. So what am I is a question that somehow is arising. Yes? Or what is your question? I don't want to put a question in your mouth.
Well, my question is, how can you keep referring to you when you're talking? You keep referring to you, referring to me. You keep saying you. What are you referring to? You can't be referring to awareness.
Okay. When I say you, I am referring to awareness.
When you ask a question of this you, which you're referring to awareness, when you ask that question of you, do you understand? Why are you asking awareness if it understands? I don't believe I am awareness. You haven't convinced me that I am awareness. There's something else. Something there is that isn't awareness.
Let's stay with one question at a time, Joe. So your question is, why do I ask awareness, do you understand? That's your question, right?
Yeah.
There is understanding, yes? Or are you agreeing with me that there is, at times there is understanding?
Yes, I agree that there seems to be understanding. Yes.
No. I'm saying at time there is, I didn't say there seems to be, at time there is understanding, like 2 plus 2 equals 4, we say, yeah, I get it. It's a simple example, but sometimes there is understanding, yes?
Yes.
So there is a reality to understanding, whatever that is. Yes? There is understanding, it's real, it's not. So sometimes there is understanding. What is it that understands?
That's
what is it that perceives? But there is understanding. So when you ask yourself, when I ask myself, what is it that understands? My reply to myself is, I understand. I don't reply, oh, my dog understands, or the oak tree understands. My reply is, I understand.
Yeah, I understand that.
I understand. So then
understand.
there is, what is this I that understands? So I ask myself, what is this I that understands? When I ask myself, what is the I that understands? I rule out my dog, I rule out my car, I rule out the oak tree in the yard, I rule out my brain, I rule out my belly, I rule out my legs, I rule out my body and my mind. Because I recognize that there are various instruments, there are various objects, let's say, but it's not the instrument that understands. There is an understanding belongs to I. But when I ask myself, what is this I don't find an object. I don't find an object, but although I do not find an object, I cannot deny the understanding. But I recognize that, oh, there is an understanding, but the understanding is objectless. It does not belong to a subject, it does not belong to somebody. It does not belong to a man, to a woman, it doesn't belong to an object. It is not a process of thinking. It doesn't belong to thinking. It can be formulated via thoughts in many different ways, but it doesn't belong to thinking. It can be formulated in scientific thoughts, in spiritual thoughts, whether in various language, but it does not belong to the thinking, to thinking. So from that contemplation, let's say, I come to the conclusion that I understand, but this I and the understanding are non-phenomenal. It is real, but it's not phenomenal. I'm sorry?
You said I come to the conclusion that it's understanding.
I and this understanding are non-phenomenal. Non-phenomenal. And the only non-phenomenal experience, let's say, language is limited, that I have is awareness. The only non-phenomenal discovery, let's say, that I've made up to now is the discovery of awareness. That there is awareness. And it's not an object. It's not a phenomenal experience. A phenomenal experience would be the sunset, or a phenomenal experience would be having a nice dinner, or having a nice conversation. These are phenomenal experiences. But the experience of consciousness, although it's not deniable, but it's not phenomenal. So the mind is not there, because mind is phenomenal. Mind deals with thinking, perceiving, feeling, etc. The mind is phenomenal. So it is non-phenomenal, meaning there is no mind there. So given that we are communicating via language and via mind, it is very tricky. It's very tricky to maneuver this conversation, but yet it is essential, and it's possible. It is possible to maneuver this conversation using the mind simply as a tool, but not being stuck, not getting stuck, not getting stuck in the mind. So it's a utilization of the mind, a usage of the mind in a certain way, delicate way, that somehow points not at the mind, but beyond it. So by I, although I recognize that there are sensations, perceptions, thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, although I do recognize that, I do not refer to them as I. Although I have images of Magdi and photos of Magdi and Magdi's mother and so on, I do not refer to that as I. I refer to I as I. The reality that right now is the non-phenomenal. It's non-phenomenal, but yet it's undeniable. It's I recognizes I as a recognition. It's not even a recognition because they're one. I recognize myself, but it's a way of speaking. I recognize myself. I am myself. I is I. I don't refer to 50, 60-year-old body. I'm not referring to memories. I'm not referring to experiences. I'm not referring to feelings. I'm not referring to the dinner I had last night. I'm not referring to time.
I am not referring to. You keep saying, I am not referring to. What is that I that is not referring?
That same I that I've been talking about right now. I is only one I, the reality of your experience. Consciousness, presence, beingness, awareness, the Godhead, Atman, whatever words you want to use. It's not an object. It's not an experience. It's not a phenomenal. It's not a phenomenal. It's not a concept. It's not a model. The reality of your experience.
Something is hearing.
Yes.
The sound of my refrigerator.
That's it. Whatever it is that is hearing the sound of the refrigerator. I'm not talking about the instrument. The instrument is a tool for hearing. Yes, that's it. Whatever it is that is perceiving this perception is I. But the I, although it can perceive a perception, this perception via the eye, the organ of the oculary senses, it's not limited to the ocular. It's not defined by the oculary sense. Like the bird watcher that is using the binocular to watch the birds is not defined by the binoculars. Whether the binoculars are 4x, 7x, 20x, or 30x, it doesn't matter. No matter whether the binoculars are German-made binoculars or Japanese-made binoculars or American-made binoculars, the bird watcher is not defined by the binoculars. Whether the bird watcher is watching the birds or whether he's watching the surface of a lake does not define the bird watcher. It doesn't matter whether he's watching a bird or a butterfly. The I that he's hearing this refrigerator, the hum of the refrigerator, is not defined by the hum of the refrigerator. It's not limited to the instrument or the object of its perception. You see? You see?
Thank you.
Okay, Joe. Thank you for your engagement. Any questions?
Magdi?
Hello, Zoe.
Hi, Magdi. Oh, okay. So could you just speak about, is there any difference between the night dream and the waking dream? Yeah, or anything about dreaming. Thank you.
Yes. One thing that the night dream and the waking dream have in common is that they both refer to mind states. There is the dream state and the waking state. The dream state being the night dream and the waking state being this state right now. They're mind states. The mind states do not refer to their reality. They refer to whatever the content of the mind state is. Like, for example, right now we're having a conversation, satsang. In your night dream, you're a butterfly, you're flying over a field of flowers. The reality of mind states is not within the mind state. The mind state is within the reality. So reality is not within the state is within the reality. that reality, the reality of all my states, is not a state. It's non-state, it's reality. In the Indian scriptures, in the Sanskrit scriptures, they refer to this reality as Turiya. Turiya being the non-state. The dream state is different from the waking state in that the dream state is more of a metaphor for the waking state. The dream state can be helpful to you to better comprehend the waking state. There are similarities in the waking, between the dream state and the waking state, and there is a learning that we can realize from our contemplation of the dream state. For example, in the dream state, we become a butterfly, and then we wake up, we realize that no, we are not a butterfly. Also in the dream state, you can dream that you are a 10-year-old boy or that you're a 50-year-old man in Calcutta, living in Calcutta. And you have a mother and a father who are Indian. And your mother is a great cook. She makes great biryani. And you're experiencing the streets, the sounds and the smells of downtown Calcutta. It seems very real. And you experience yourself as this 50-year-old man with all your personal thoughts and your personal experiences. And you also experience, the love of your mother, and your mother is talking to you, and whatever. Your neighbors, your employers, your employees, whatever. You're having a whole life. And you don't know other people's thoughts or other people's feelings. You don't know if the neighbor next to you, what they're doing, what they're saying. But when you wake up from the night dream, you realize not only that you are not this 50-year-old man, but you also realize that you were this 50-year-old man, and you were also your mother and your father and your neighbors, that everybody and everything in your dream was yourself. You, the dreamer of all these characters, all their thoughts and all their feelings and all their experiences, they were your mind. They were not separate minds. And consciousness is that way. In the waking dream, there is a metaphor from the night dream to the waking dream, which we refer to this experience as the waking dream. In that right now I'm experiencing a Megdi, and you're experiencing your Zoe, and Kate is Kate, etc. Every person is experiencing their own personal mind and their own experiences, their own friends, their own family. From that perspective, from the limited mind's perspective. But we don't realize that all our minds are shared via consciousness. There is one consciousness, one I, one reality, one self that is dreaming all these dreams, that is perceiving via infinite minds various scenes, various experiences, various conversations, various situations. The night dream is also more porous, less stable than the waking dream. The waking dream seems to have a stability. You wake up every day in the same house. You have the same parents every day. While in the night dream, it's less stable. But the stability that we experience in the waking state is an imagined stability. We imagine that there is a stability to our experience, while in fact our experience is frame by frame. But because those frames are run so quickly, one after the other, it seems that there is a continuity. There is a continuity to the movie. But there is no continuity to the movie. The movie is discontinuous. Every thought is separate from the next thought, separate from the next thought, separate from the next thought. Every perception is separate from the next perception, separate from the previous perception. Every sensation is separate from the next sensation, separate from the previous sensation. There is no continuity in the mind, at the level of the mind. The continuity that we experience in the waking dream is because of the continuity of consciousness. Consciousness is whole, is undivided. There are no bits and pieces to consciousness, while there are bits and pieces to the mind, to the world, to thoughts, to perceptions, to feelings, to sensations, to memories. So the sense of continuity that we experience in the world is an intuitive sense of continuity. It comes from our intuition of consciousness, of the eternity and infinity of consciousness, that consciousness is not discontinuous. But the significance of the night dream is that it can help us to comprehend the waking dream. And the comprehension of the waking dream refers to the comprehension of what I refers to. When that Joe is asking, what is this I? I is undeniable. But I does not refer to my personal mind. It does not refer to the particular thought that I had. Now it's gone. Next thought, it's gone. Next thought, it's gone. I does not refer to the stream of thinking or the stream of feeling or sensing or perceiving or emoting. I refers to always the same I. We never experience a different I. We experience different perceptions and sensations, but we never experience a different I. It's always I. We experience different bodily sensations, different images. The image of Magdi at 12-year-old and the image of Magdi at 40-year-old, different images. The sensations of Magdi's mind at 10-year-old and Magdi's body mind at 15-year-old are different sensations. But the I is the same I. The I that perceived breakfast this morning and the I that is perceiving this perception right now is the same I. But it's not a phenomenal I. It's not an objective I. It's not a concept. It's noumenal. So the night dream can help us to realize that the mind that we experience is like the flow of a river, but the reality of our experience is water, is the ocean, is consciousness. The importance of this understanding is that it brings an end to the wheel of samsara. The wheel of samsara is the spinning of the mind. The mind is constantly spinning in looking and searching and seeking and questioning. It hasn't come to the peace, which is the end of the spin. And the end of the spin comes via your comprehension. What I refers to consciousness, which is noumenal, non-phenomenal. And then the next comprehension is that the entire dream is consciousness itself. Consciousness never leaves itself to become something else. There is no other reality outside of the reality of consciousness. what's very helpful for us is that we have a deep intuition of what we are, because we are what we are. We already are that. But to say that I already am the self, already am I, is not sufficient. As I was telling Joe, we have to realize that this understanding, this journey, this trip, whatever it is, this magic show, whatever it is about the end of unhappiness. It's about peace and happiness. It's about the end of misery. And the sages, it's all they speak about the end of misery, the end of the illusion of separation. Whichever language you use, whichever lingo they use, if it's not about the end of misery, then it's not the true teaching. Zoe, I'm not sure if I went way out of your question.
No, that was incredible, Magdi, and I want the recording. Also, I was just, what it was coming to me that something about, I think Ramana Maharshi, I'm sure all the other sages have said it too, you can't awaken in, it's like you have to awaken in the waking dream state. You can't awaken in the sleeping dream state. And yeah, you explained it so perfectly, because I had this sort of nightmare dream that woke me up, and then I was thinking, well, it's all consciousness. Does the intelligence of consciousness peek through the night dream as well? I need to re-listen to what you said.
Yes, that's a good point. I didn't go into that, but very briefly, Zoe, yes, the contemplation, the spiritual work, the spiritual journey, whichever way you word it, takes place in the waking state. At some point in your along the path, you may find, actually you will find, a spillover from the waking state into the dream state. In the dream state, like the waking state, carries in it the sense of me, a separate self. There is a certain angst in the dream state, as well as in the waking state, the sense of lack, the sense of incompletion, the sense that there is something at stake. We experience that in the dream state too, in our dreams. And sometimes, very intense, sometimes it's nightmarish, but even when it's not nightmarish, we're still experiencing the sense of being a separate self within the dream. But as your contemplation is taking place, it takes place during the waking state, like right now in satsang and other ways, during the waking state. At some point, there is a shift in your understanding. In other words, there is an understanding that shifts your experience. The sense of being a separate self becomes more and more transparent, less and less your experience, and you will start to experience a stream of events, but without the sense of lack or angst, without the sense of being disturbed. And that will spill over in your night dreams. You will find that your night dreams also become more peaceful, more restful, and at some point, as the sense of personal self is thinned out in your waking state, you will no longer find the sense of personal self or any sense of angst in your dream state. You will actually be in the bliss of the self, irrespective of the waking state or the night state.
Oh, thank you, Magdi. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, one more thing I wanted to say about the dream state. Sometimes, and that will not be in the beginning of your journey. I guess in your case, it's worth it for me to mention it. That sometimes there is a possibility in the night dream that there is both the night dream and awareness and wakefulness to the night dream. There is a night dream and there is awareness of the night dream. So there is an aware night dream that's going on. And if possible, and it's not important, if it's not possible, it's fine, it's not important, to also invite yourself within the night dream to look at what is this I in the dream, because there is an I in the dream. There is an I or a me in the dream. To ask yourself within the dream, what is the I that is right now experiencing this experience? Again, having said that, don't worry about it. Just hear it as you heard it, and it's fine. It's not needed, it's not necessary. I just thought of mentioning it. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for your lovely company, for your love for truth, and your friendship. So
thank you, Maggie.
Thank you all, George and
Thank
George,
you, Maggie.
Kate and Rashmi, Emmanuel, Esther, Holly, John and Kelly and Trish and Zoe and everybody. Okay.
Thanks, Maggie. Thank you, Maggie.